again, it's when I say it was a lot of fun, it's a lot of fun to do, and it's not always just because you win or lose and stuff. But the funny thing is, like for the last 2 weeks, I mean, we've at least had one of us to kind of sweat, you know, in the big one. Like last week, I got there kind of at Bobby's expense, if you might remember last week. And this week there was Bobby was in decent shape to cash in both buy-ins in the big one, and maybe even win like a single entry, and then they're all kind of just. It basically was almost impossible, not almost impossible, but it was very unlikely for both of his big buy-ins to not cash. He somehow managed, though. He managed to thread the needle and bubble both of them, I think. But it was definitely fun doing. It was fun sweating Brandon Adams, who basically he had 99% chance to win $1 million to like 4%, and then back to 100 at the end. So that's kind of fun. And listen, I posted on Twitter, and a lot of the good players were commenting on it too. So hopefully we get a lot of people that have come into that on the Wednesdays.
Yep.
And then we did the PGA lineup build, and I really enjoyed it. So we're gonna keep doing that stuff. Any thoughts on yesterday before we get into today?
Yeah, I just want to point out about myself, like it's always a little frustrating because like I built the two big because I only had the two big ones. I wanted to focus more on that, so I didn't play as many other tournaments. But like I played one lineup in the 200, I played two lineups in the 88, in the $88 buy-in. I played the two single entries, which one of them I finished 8th. Every one of those tournaments would have been like, those are all worth like $6,000 if they cash or more. So in one case, it would have been like $12,000 if they cash in at 2,500. So it's just a little frustrating that all my secondary lineups did better than my main lineups. So kind of wish I would have pivoted a little differently. But hey, such is life, and it happens, and we'll get into today.
That's like the roadie theory. Just find the one lineup that happened to cash and wish that you had played that and everything.
Exactly.
But I wasn't fair because I was gonna bust your chops about that when you were complaining about the FanDuel one a couple of days ago. But that was different. You were actually gonna play that lineup.
Yeah, I actually had played the lineup, but I just made the change with 5 minutes to go. That was
yeah.
It is a reminder about late news. I mean, obviously you wanted to have pieces of Philly last night, but I had probably too much Melton and not enough of Harris and Maxey, although I was over the field on them, or I was over the field on Harris anyway. So yeah, just one of those things, and we're gonna have to discuss it again today. I do think we're gonna get Embiid to play tonight, so I don't think we're gonna have to worry about all that other stuff as much.
Yeah, I won a little in tennis yesterday, but I played extremely poorly in the NBA, so I'm kind of happy it's a little 4-game slate here that I want to put in the effort to play this right. When I say I played poorly, hopefully you guys that have been here know what I mean by that. I don't mean that I just, that guys I played didn't play well, or guys that I did whatever. I literally didn't play very well. Like I was too hung up in updating the site. I was too hung up on other stuff. And then I went and I watched some TV during times when news came out. You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of an overall a bad performance. And I didn't really put my thought into late swap. So, apologies for anybody that bought any of me. I probably should just freaking refund everybody. It was not my best effort, but with that said, I'll now probably win 250 in golf this week. So we'll see.
Right.
We'll see how that goes. But listen, it goes to show, and we were talking about yesterday when we were looking at the leaderboard. It's tough, man, and NBA is rough. And when they offer all that money, it's what I say even about the stock market. If there's billions of dollars out there, you're going to get some smart people playing, and you have to be on your toes with the NBA. And nobody said it was going to be easy. And that's why, listen, when Bobby chopped that thing the other day, that 555 is the toughest tournament of the day, So to get there, especially on one lineup, I mean, is nothing to sneeze at. And it requires, a lot of effort. So when you don't put in the effort, it's actually good when you get punished. You know what I mean? Because if you kind of like just screw around and you cash anyway, you get a little lazy. So it is good that the basketball gods are usually pretty cruel about that. So we'll
appreciate that stuff. And again, like, and sometimes look, I felt really good about my process. I felt really good about my lineups yesterday, and they just didn't work out. Simple as that. I wish I would have gone more and committed with some of those bold plays I made that were narrative driven, like the Donovan Mitchell play, for example, like a big tough game on the road on TV against the Celtics. that was an opportunity. Slick in here in the chat saying he had Tatum and Donna and Mitchell, which would have been like the nuts. So if you just got the other pieces right, you're there. So yeah, there's a lot of room for it. Tonight we're not going to have as many things to choose from, and you're going to see really concentrated chalk. So you ready to jump into game by game?
Yeah, I am. Let's start with I guess we'll start with Toronto and Washington.
Yeah. So for me, like I think that Podol is a reasonable tournament shot at low ownership. I don't think this is like a spot where I want to play a ton of these guys from Toronto. Siakam's price, I mean, it's come down, but like with Podol there, we haven't really seen many big games from him. So his price is okay. Van Vliet's price is okay. OG's getting his minutes back. Scotty Barnes, that everybody seems fine, but I just don't see the real, like, I don't know. I don't have really the urge to play any of them. Are you finding anything on Toronto?
No. I have Podol, like you said, as the best play if I had to pick one. Although I don't know. I think Siakam is fair enough. You know, I don't think it's that bad. And again, I'm kind of thinking that today is similar to yesterday, and that the value is fine, but I don't think it's beyond unfadable. You know, so I think that maybe you could play mid-range stuff. So maybe Siakam's not such a bad play here. So I would say Siakam. I mean, but if you're going to play Siakam, how can you say no to Van Vliet? It's the same. It's the same play, really.
Right.
And Podol. So those three, I guess, are the only guys in my board for Toronto. And you have Porzingis back, which makes everybody else a little less viable. And I didn't look at any coach speak or anything like that, like what they're going to be expecting from Porzingis. But I wouldn't expect much coming back. So
I think he'll play it out his regular rotation. I don't think he's only missed 2 games. One was because of the front end of the back-to-back to give him a little bit of extra time. So I don't feel that. I think he's actually a good play tonight too. I think at 8,900 he's very reasonable. But that's mostly all I have really from this game. I'm not especially in love with this one, but we might have to play some guys here just if we want to get off the chalk. So yeah, that's going to be what it comes down to, because it is a game where you do have some of the lower owned plays and taking a shot on some of these Toronto guys who we mentioned, all the good ones. I think that just sort of like closing your eyes and playing a Siakam or FPV might not be the worst idea to get off the chalk today. All right, with Philadelphia, Dallas, I actually think, like, even with Embiid back, assuming that he plays, which I assume he does because this game is nationally televised and it's a back-to-back and it's a much better matchup for him than he gets to take the night off against Bam and then gets to go play whatever they decide to throw out there at center for Dallas. So I do like Embiid a lot tonight on DraftKings. I think he's like the easy top spend because of the discount off of Luka. And I will still mix in Melton. I mean, the minutes, like, we're not going to have the same value. 3,800 with the minutes is reasonable. And I also don't mind Maxey, Harris, and even Harden, to be honest with you. All of these guys will be in my builds. I don't think none of them will be left out completely. But as of right now, I have it rated Embiid, then Maxey, then Melton, then Harris, then Harden. But I have no problem if you want to mix it around a little bit. Harden off the back-to-back that was in Miami, which it's always tough with Harden. That's why I didn't want to play him yesterday, because he was in Miami. And he wasn't great, by the way, yesterday. So I think that you get the Luka Embiid thing makes perfect sense. It's not, again, we don't necessarily need the Luka 80-pointer. It's not a 10-game slate where a bunch of guys are going to get 60. So I don't mind Luka, and I don't mind Kyrie if you didn't want to play the Luka lineups. But I think this is the game you're sort of naturally stacking, right?
Well, I don't think about the game you're stacking, but I know these two players you kind of want,
Well, the value in this game is better than, like, I mean, on Philly's side, the value projects a lot better than the value does elsewhere. Like at Melton, Maxey, and Harris all look as 3 of the stronger values.
It projects better than what?
Than most any other value on the slate.
See, I have it a little different. I guess we'll get there. But
on your projections, you've got Melton at more than 5x. You've got Harris at just about 5x. You've got Maxey at just about 5x, which for guys who are cheap, that's pretty good today.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I guess that's the case. I think I just like the Indiana stuff a little bit better. But we'll be there in like 5 seconds, I guess. But listen, Luka and Embiid are, they have the top projections by like 10 fantasy points, so it's you're probably going to want one of them, if not both of them, if you could do it. So, and like you said, you don't need 80 from either of these guys tonight.
Yeah.
And they correlate. I mean, you know what I mean. So if you can get both these guys in, probably not the worst idea in the world. And now currently the value is not the greatest, and to me it's kind of weird. I don't. If I want to play these guys, I almost don't want to play other guys from the Phillies team, right? But I guess it's not that bad because Baxy's only 4,900. You know what I mean? Like, and Melton's only 3,800. You're not really spending much to do it.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, but these two guys are really top spends, and I can't imagine not playing at least one of them. But listen, I've imagined other stuff. I imagined playing certain things last night and ended up playing Jared Allen. So who knows what I end up doing at the end of the day. But like right now, I probably will end up with one of these guys at most lineups.
Yep, I think we're on the same page here. All right, let's talk a little bit about Indiana because you do have Halliburton as questionable, and that's
obviously, I'm presuming that he's out. If he's in, it's something different.
Well, you're just assuming that he's out, but the sites are projecting him to play still, right? I've got a projection on him that's pretty much his normal projection.
Okay.
On SaberSim, and then in Roto Grinders and NBA, they have him projected in the starting lineup.
Yeah, but no, I do have him in actually as well. I don't have him scoring that much, but I'm still getting these Indiana guys as like the top values. I'm getting Heald, Benedict, Matherin, and then what's his name? And then Turner's not as much of a straight value, but getting Jalen Smith at 3,300. I mean, is not bad. Even Nembhard at 35. Now, none of these are that great. I mean, you know what I mean? Like these are, but as far as like what the best values are, I like these guys tonight. In the absence of anything else. So, yeah. So again, top one would be Heald for me, and then I guess Matherin. I mean, he's under 5K and he's active. I mean, he's going to be. I mean, I have like 30% ownership on all these guys. So. Jalen Smith. I think Jalen Smith is always possible. So I like that. And on the San Antonio side, the top guy I'm getting right now is actually Charles Bassey. It doesn't sound like something you want to do, but that's what I'm getting there. Keldon Johnson 6,900. So yeah, it's a 4-game slate. So it's kind of crappy. Think you want to play Embiid or play Luka, play both, and just take your shots with some of these value guys, even if they don't look that great.
Yeah, I agree. I would include Jordan Nwora in as a potential play for Indiana.
Oh, okay.
And I think that Bassey he just is an incredible fantasy point per minute guy. You're never really getting 20 minutes out of him, or more than 20 minutes out of him. But he's been putting up, really, really good scores for the 20 minutes that he does play. So I think he is definitely in play. Always scares me when you have a lot of guys projecting pretty well and also are all questionable for San Antonio. Ideally, you would save your lineups till after this game, but you can't because there's just too many other things that you got to make decisions on. But like we could end up seeing a really light, shorthanded San Antonio team, and also we could see Halliburton out. And if that happens, I think that you're going to want to have a lot of this game. So I agree with your order. Basically, I think I have Matherin a little bit ahead of Heald, but they're close. And Nembhard is definitely in the mix as well. I'm okay on Jalen Smith. They really haven't shown that they're going to give him a ton of minutes. There's just so many bodies, like between Nesmith, Nwora, Jalen Smith, to go in that 4 position because they're gonna start. I mean, you still do have Miles Turner, who's also a reasonable play on his own. So it is kind of an interesting game to think about stacking along with the maybe spending up for the Luka and things because we might get better information. And even if we don't, ending up with Bassey Nembhard and Mathurin, for argument's sake, is certainly not a bad way to go. But what will happen is TJ McConnell will become an amazing play if Halliburton's out, and Nembhard is probably a good play as well. So we really just are going to have to wait to see on that one. But I think the idea is to try to get 3 or 4 guys from this game that maybe play like Bassey, Nembhard, and Mathurin, or Bassey, Nembhard, and Hield, and then use the Philadelphia and Dallas stuff. The problem is it's not getting us very much off the board. So it's just something we have to think about.
So I think that this last game on a slate like this is very usable. I think that I want to try this. I want to try something like Paul George, and maybe on Golden State play Jordan Poole, and or put DiVincenzo in there also, and or Kuminga, and just take a shot. I mean, it's a 4-game slate, and if you play these guys again, you have some flexibility to screw around. You know what I mean? Like if you don't like what's happened in the early games. And the cool thing is if you play Poole and Paul George, for example, and you play one stud, you can still do it, but it's hard, which is kind of cool. You know what I mean? And I'll say this: if you're gonna play if you were going to fade both Embiid and Luka, like, you can get away with it by doing this kind of stuff. And then, like, let's say you wanted to play like a higher priced Toronto guy with maybe a Washington guy, or I don't know, you want to play Klay Thompson in this game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like that. But I think that Paul George at 8,500 is totally reasonable. And I would always play some shares of Poole. And if I was going to play Paul George anyway, I would definitely want to play some shares of Poole. So I don't know. I think this is four-game slate. 230-point total, late game. I mean, I got nothing to do. I'll take a shot.
Yeah. I think this, there's a lot of things in this game too, which maybe speaks even more to playing, playing these later games just to wait on the Indy and San Antonio news. But I have no problem with Jordan Poole. I have no problem with Klay as a tournament play, but again, he's going to have a ton of ownership tonight. Kuminga is going to be that same sort of mid-range, that lower mid whatever value. I think that he's probably my favorite play and the one I'm going to prioritize. And DiVincenzo, it's hard to ignore what he's been doing. He's going to be really popular, but I think that look, 3 guys from the Indiana San Antonio game, 2 guys from this game, or something like that, or and then the Embiid and Luka spend ups are sort of my natural build. But I do like the idea of getting some Paul George exposure or Kawhi Leonard as my other spend up. Terrence Mann is getting some ownership and getting, projecting okay-ish at 3,900. I'm not sure if I want to do that yet. I think I prefer the Indiana guys, but I just wanted to mention it. And Marcus Morris is at 3,600 too. Is a longer shot play because he's not really in their normal. He's not getting the same rotation minutes that he used to, but he's 3,600. It's low enough to where I'd be willing to take a shot on him. So that's how I have this game, and I do think Paul George is my next favorite spend up-ish to Luka and Embiid for what it's worth. He's right there with Kristaps for me, a little bit ahead of him. And so priorities, are the Philly Dallas, and then the especially the spend ups with the Embiid and Luka, and then the Hield Nembhard, Mathurin, PG-13, Kuminga, and DiVincenzo. Those are sort of my priorities as of right now. I'll update them on the site. I will put my favorite plays up there. I mean, my early builds, my core plays, and all that, and all my bets of the day up in a little bit. Anything else, Sheets, you want to add about this?
Yeah, I did have one other thing. How has Westbrook been doing for the Clippers so far?
It's just sort of like the minutes are not like totally secure as we sort of expected. But I mean, I think like on a small slate, it wouldn't be the worst time to use him because he's playing enough minutes, and he's actually producing a little better than maybe he's getting credit for. So maybe at low ownership, maybe he is a good play. He's put up 40 in 2 out of 38 or over in all 3 games that he's played. He's 7K. That's very fair. So actually, I think you're right on that Westbrook thing. I think that there's
I don't say right or anything. I was just literally shooting the shit. I didn't know how he was doing it.
You were right in opening my eyes to it then a little bit more than I was thinking about initially. How about that? I do think Westbrook is reasonable at 7K. Anyway, guys, good luck to everybody. We'll be live with you at 6 Eastern. It's a small slate, so it won't be a whole bunch to go through, but it's opportunities to be a little bit creative. And the last time I complained about a small slate, I ended up winning the tournament. So I
got one other thing again, just for a second. I mentioned it. You didn't comment on it. I just wanted to reiterate again. 4-game slate. You could hunt around. I just want to revisit this Jalen Smith idea. He's at 3,300. And he looks to be the backup now, and 20 minutes at 3,300. If that's what he's going to get, I mean, that sounds good to me. I mean, I'm not too concerned about San Antonio's. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's not like David Robinson's out there. I don't know.
Well, yeah, no, but it's just the minutes. Like, how is he going to get minutes over? So since Noor, like he was DM, he was not even in the rotation.
No, he wasn't.
And he's come back, and his coming back in the rotation is 15 minutes. So I don't know where we're getting these extra minutes for him from.
I don't know at all.
So I think I think it's a speculative play, but I don't mind it. I think I would try to, he's productive per minute. Like that's good. But I think I'd let the other guys a little bit better because I feel more secure about their minutes. Even the minutes projection on Smith is around 15 or 16, I think, pretty much throughout the end.
I would just say this, that like if you played like Luka and Embiid together, and you can get away with this somehow. I mean, it's gonna be saving that money is gonna be useful.
Yeah, and getting a low owned option to do it. So he does fit the low owned mold, and he's good per minute. So I don't mind if you want
just be prepared for the 0. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, be prepared for the 5.
Yeah, but I mean, is he gonna really get 0? I mean, he was literally he was 4 for 6 with 9 rebounds in 16 minutes. He did have 3,016 minutes. That's my kind of player. I don't know. I think maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's a good matchup too. So it's just I just want to remind everybody with Indy, this should all come with like they play 10 guys, they play 12 guys, they play a lot of guys. And for Jalen Smith, Jordan Noir has been getting all the minutes, so I would lean more that way, or even stick with the starter.
Well, let's look at him. So, but Noir but does he get to play the 5? I mean,
no, but you're not playing the 5 for Jalen Smith. Miles Turner is their center.
No, so he's the backup. That's what I'm saying. I mean, like
he's one of the backups.
I'll take that's what I'm saying. If I could just secure that backup spot, even at 3,300, I would take it.
But that's 30. But that might only be 10 minutes, because Miles Turner could play 38 minutes.
That's true.
So that's
how about maybe you're right. Maybe Noir at 3,400.
They traded. They went out and got him. He's a guy who a lot of people around the league like, and they're playing him some minutes. So giving it a shot is not a bad idea.
Not only are they playing him minutes, but like he's
really aggressive.
He's performing. You know what I mean? He had in 21 minutes. Look, he was 8 for 12. He missed some threes, whatever. 18 points, 8 and 6. Right. 8 rebounds, 6 assists. So they rewarded him. They gave him almost 30 minutes at Dallas, and he had a very, very nice game there too. I kind of like this.
Yeah, I'm into it. He's the one I have circled. I've always been a little biased towards him because he's been very good to me in the past.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hope you enjoy the early first look. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that, and we will see you live at 6 Eastern.
Yep.
Good luck, everybody.